Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Alex Sturdy. I help people buy, sell, and invest in Kern County. And today I wanted to invite Austin on here. Austin and I have done a handful of deals, and my experience as a realtor has been great. And then most importantly, the client experience has been by far none to the best. So she has a great team in place, which allows her to perform amazing. She communicates really well. I mean, there hasn't been a time where she hasn't responded to an email or a text right away. So I thank you for that. To me, personally, that means a lot. So there's that. And most importantly, she delivers on the promises that she makes to the client. And, I hear all these promises and sometimes they're missed, but you coming through means a lot. So thank
Thanks, my
you
friend.
so much. And thank you for joining us, taking time out of your busy day.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. I'm such a raving fan of you. I mean,
Oh,
so for all the viewers, we got connected randomly through, I had the buyer and then he met the buyer openly. And we've been referring business back and forth because the way you care about your clients, your no nonsense approach to getting things done, you're a great negotiator, which right now is just epic for our clients. The professionalism, it's just beyond approach. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's absolutely my honor to be here and serve.
my thing is like, I like that whole black and white approach, right? It either makes
Yeah.
sense or it makes no sense, right? There's no
Yeah.
sugarcoating, there is no gray lines. What
Yep.
is it going to take and what is it not going to take? So that's
Totally.
so tell us about yourself, the market you serve, and what is it that you do? I mean, I know what you do, but I think for the people that are watching, it would be helpful.
Yeah, totally. So I sit in Santa Barbara, California. That is where my office is. We serve all over California. We love serving our veterans. We love helping first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, really those that want to get creative from an investment standpoint. I also work with clients in Arizona and Colorado. I find there's a lot of reciprocity around here.
Yeah.
I have been in lending for 24 years. So 24 years since I was 18 years old, I
Wow.
have been in lending. So I've seen a lot, right? And I started as an assistant. I moved into operations during that countrywide Bank of America takeover. I
Yeah.
survived the crash and came out the other side as a regional operations manager for Bank of America, $2 million signing authority, doing audits, doing things with the FBI, like really seeing all the ugly that greedy people put basically victims through, right? And so then as things kind of shifted, I realized, gosh, why am I not a loan officer? I know how to guide people, and people constantly say, I don't know what's next, and my loan officer will call me back. So I've since developed a team. I've
Yeah.
only been 10 years on the origination side. I'm proud to say that we helped 433 families last year,
Wow.
really just figuring out where are you, who's on first, right? And to me, I don't care what your loan amount is. I care what your goals are. Like, what does that mean and how do we get there, right? It's a balance of math and emotion. So,
Right.
nerd face central over here.
Right. So you're what I got out of it was you're putting the client's interest before anything else.
Of
And
course.
and I think that goes a long way, right? When it comes down to referrals and whatnot. But like, these people are buying, well, what's the average price point in Santa Barbara?
The median price point, and as of August 22, actually, I literally just did this data, is 2.2 million, but the median price point in 2019 was
Yeah.
1.2 million. So
Okay.
that really means we've seen a lot of the bigger properties move. I mean, you probably heard Harry and Meghan live here now, Oprah
Yeah.
lives here, right? So there's a lot of big ticket properties.
Yeah.
But I love helping those clients. Really, for me, that sweet spot anywhere from like
Right.
three to $600,000, just getting in there. That's my dream, man. That's really where
I
I
want to
get
thank you on
excited.
that because $1 million deal is of course a lot more valuable than a $400,000 deal. But I noticed that you did not treat it any different. So that
Oh,
that said a lot about you, So that was
everybody deserves help.
yeah.
Everybody deserves help, man. It's
So
a privilege.
I mean, I'm on the real estate side. What made you? I know you gave that background on banking and why not be a loan officer, but why not be a real estate agent also?
So I fell in love with economics junior year in high school. The idea that there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? So deliver it to your table. Someone had to do it. Someone had to cook it. You had to get the produce, right? Like, and it just goes all the way back to those in the field. And
Yeah.
fun fact, I actually grow like half of my food, right? So I'm used to getting those nails dirty. But
Yeah.
but I fell in love with economics and I got into lending just by chance. I wanted to underwrite hedge funds, but in 2000, well, in 2001 when I switched to standard mortgages, there wasn't really a lot of opportunity there. So I figured like this is a puzzle and it's a totally different language. And so how do you help people work the system?
Yeah.
So for me, I love loans because like it's it's a mousetrap. How do you figure it out? And I just think that it's super rad to take someone's desires and then look at the opportunities, offer them different realms. So for me, I just, math and emotion. I love my little calculator. I actually love my calculator.
It is truly a big jigsaw puzzle. I've done a little bit of lending back in my banking days, right?
Yeah.
So it's a massive jigsaw puzzle, and they're stressed out. So having the ability to walk them through the numbers, I think that it goes a long way, right?
Thank you.
So what are you seeing in the market? I just got back from a conference, an investment conference, super hyped up, got nothing but positive things out of it, met some great people, but there's a lot of fear in the market, right? Media is blowing up. My phone has this YouTube alerts. Market is crashing 50%, 70%. No, don't buy. Interest rates are 10%. What are you seeing in your world on the real side? How do you feel about the consumer confidence? And yeah, where do you see the market heading?
Well, we got to remember that our media has formed into like haters gonna hate, right? How loud can we be? How explosive
Yeah.
can we be, right? Because we are so bombarded all day long with data, with like ding, 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 all the notifications.
Yeah.
So the media is gonna push the ugly. The media is gonna push the ugly, right? Like with all intents and purposes, we don't hear a lot about Ukraine anymore because it's starting to like settle out. Like it's not this like huge thing. So we've got to curl that emotion down.
Yeah.
We've got to really make sure that we take an analysis of what can we do today and what's that going to mean for the future. We are not building enough property here in California. We are not building enough property in Colorado. We are barely building enough property in Arizona. And there's a lot of barriers to entry. So if we're not building enough, and then you have all these people with super low interest rates, they have no reason to sell. And then you have federal help if you get behind on your mortgage, right? Remember forbearance, you heard a lot of talk about that during COVID, the C word. There's not going to be a lot of supply.
No.
So I do think that rates are going to go down next year. Fannie Mae just revised their forecasts that yes, they still expect them to drop about 2 points next year, right, from where they are today as for inflation curtails. But what's going to happen is it's that squirrel OMG. Oh, things are starting to get better. Cool, rates are going to drop. Oh my God, things are better. Great. Let me sell, let me get back into the market. And that's where I think people have to focus on the opportunity, why there's not 20 people in line. How do we do that? And that's one of the things I want to key back to you is, we work with some clients so that they could get their foot in the door. Like they were using their money to get in on their down payment side of it. So we had to offset the closing costs. And one of the super crafty ways that we were doing that is that 2-1 buy down.
Yes.
So that's something you and I talked about before. I don't know if we want to segue into that one, but I think it's super sexy time.
My question is, you know how you said the rates will come down following.
Yeah.
So I kind of know the answer and the mindset, but I want to hear your opinion, right? So as a buyer, I'm like, Austin, look, I do want to buy a house. January is not so far away. Why not just wait till next year, see what the rates do, and then buy? Like, what would you say to a buyer like that?
Why are you going to wait and see what the prices do too? Because again, it's about that supply. Yeah. If this is the house you like, this is the neighborhood, this is the bedroom count, this is the windows, this is the yard. If this is the one you like, it's about getting that one, right? Yes. I mean, with all due respect, you don't really do that with dating. You don't be like, hey, you're super cute and nice and you seem like a respectable human, but I'm going to wait till January because I just want to get through the holidays. And like that's, you got to take advantage of the opportunities, and it's getting that price, getting that door, not just a house.
Yeah, I agree with you, because one of the key things they said at the conference also was, I wrote it down. It says the growth will be the name of the game. So invest today, whether it's in your own home or an investment property. Right. And my thing is, right now the prices are leveling off or cooling off, I guess you can say.
Yep.
But once these rates do start dropping in January, February, what do you think is going to happen to the price?
Go right back up.
Gonna go right
Go
back
right
up.
back up.
Everyone's gonna go straight, and those crazy offers are gonna start happening again. So I agree with you. I think if you're in the position to make that purchase and you can afford that payment and numbers make sense and the house checks off all the boxes, let's go put it together,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Because if that rate comes down, you can refinance it, right? You're not stuck in that. You can actually refinance that because if properties go up, you're going to keep building that equity.
Yeah,
There's mathematically is it is, look, could anything happen? Yes, but it is super duper ridiculously improbable, like super duper ridiculously improbable. That's the professional term
yeah,
that prices are going to drop with over a 3-year look forward, right? So are they going to adjust a little bit here and there? Yeah, of course.
of
But
course.
within the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to go back up and they're
Yeah,
going to go back up higher, right?
I agree. I agree. Yeah, they said that there's price is there won't ever, well, I don't want to say the word ever, but they did say that a lot of people are waiting for the Great Depression to happen again. It's not going to happen. That was once in a lifetime type of a deal. It's called great for a reason. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. And they said this whole interest rate being 1 or 2%, that's not going to ever happen again either. That was another great interest rate drop, if you so call it.
Yeah.
But tell me about that whole 3-2-1 buy down or 2-1 buy down. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know
Right.
the terms.
Two threes, ones. It's
Yeah.
like voguing a little bit.
Right.
So 2-1 buy down. Now this is old
Okay.
school again, so I've exposed my age already. So we did this like we started doing these 20 years ago and they're coming back. You can
Yeah.
do it on a conventional loan. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer to do that. You can be. You can do it with as little as 3% down. You can do it on an FHA loan. You can do it on a VA loan with 100% financing. So here's very simply how it works.
Okay.
This is not where you buy points to lower the interest rate. This is not where you buy points to lower the interest rate. What's happening on a 2-1 buy down is this. So, for example, let's say the rate today is 7%. Okay.
Okay. I'm
So,
writing this
year
down.
one,
Okay.
you are going to make a payment as if it's 5%. Okay. Year two, it's as if it's 6%. And then year three, it's going to go back up today's rate at 7%. And the way that this is done is with a credit from the builder or the seller. Technically, some of these programs allow it to be from family as well. So there's a fun little nuance for you.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we're going to build that in from the seller side so that they're offsetting the interest difference. For example, if your rate's 5% versus 7%, there's that delta in interest. The seller is prepaying that for 2 years. So it sits in a separate account that's used to offset your payments as they like trickle back up within that time frame. And what's even cooler, Alex, is if you refinance, that money is applied towards your principal. For most of all these programs, it's applied towards your principal so you don't lose it.
That's
Huge.
yeah, that's massive. So okay. Um, and you can educate me on this, how to be a better realtor. So me as an agent, I'm trying to put a deal together.
Yep.
What should I write into the contract to get that credit?
That's a great question. So you would write in seller to participate in a 2-1 buy down
Okay.
for buyer at no recourse to them, right? Because that's protecting them. They're out of the game, right? And
Right.
then you're going to work with me or you're going to work with your lender to figure out what that number needs to be because everyone's loan amount's different, right? But I ran numbers on a $400,000 sales price yesterday, and it was going to be about $10,000, right? So
Right.
we would give the number, and that's how much money would be going from the seller's proceeds into this separate account that the lender's going to manage, the servicer's going to manage to offset those payments. Again, dropping that rate down 2% year one, 1% year two, and then year three going back to normal.
Got it. So now what if the seller says, hey, I don't want to give that $10,000 credit. I've already lowered my price by 50 grand. So does that come out of buyer's pocket or are you saying raise the sales price?
You cannot get it out of the buyer's pocket. So that's one thing. It can't be a buyer contribution, but a lot of clients will increase the sales price. You see that on VA as it is, right? Hey, let me offer you a little bit above and get a credit back towards closing costs. Same formula, same concept. Look, you've already reduced your sales price, right? But maybe if we trickle it up a little bit to offset, that's a way to come in for the difference.
Okay. Got it. That's the Yeah, I did not know that if you refinance, all that money gets applied towards the principal. That's massive.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that for the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we have them set up. I can't speak for every other lender out there, but that's our agreement with Fannie Mae directly.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that leads me to my next question. How do you feel like the rates will be in next year compared to now?
I think they're going to drop 1 to 2%,
1 to 2%.
right?
Okay.
1 to 2%,
Okay.
right? And mathematically, again, forgive me for being such a nerd on this, but a 1% increase in interest rate means that you qualify for 10% less in price. So let's inverse that. Do you
Okay.
want to pay 10% more on a house,
Yes.
right? Plus your standard appreciation, right? So how are we flipping that switch again, right?
Yeah.
So rates dropping 2% next year, right? Being in the fives for per Fannie Mae, which I'll send you that forecast too. Being in the fives from Fannie Mae, that's going to exaggerate your buying power. But if we get in today when prices are lower, that's
Uh-huh.
going to be even better for you overall. It's huge.
And the price. Yes. Wow. Yeah. That is one.
Double win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So definitely. It's a good thing to take advantage of this 2-1 program, right? Because if it drops, you refi and it's like there's yeah. It's like what wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that on my open house now this upcoming week.
Hey, I got some flyers for you. It's going to
Yeah,
be great.
yeah.
It's going to be
I
great,
might just
right?
have this little segment of video on loop and I just might turn them and like watch that and then talk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay. So hey, on the seller side, right? Hey, that was a lot of
Yeah.
advice for the buyers. I know you're not a realtor, but if you were to give an advice to a seller who was your friend or another person in the business, what advice would you give? Or I mean, you feel their pain right now, right?
I do, but we got to remember sellers, like again, we were talking about this math and looking at some of the appreciation up over 78% appreciation since 2019,
Yeah.
right? Like this is still a great time to sell as well because realistically, you didn't buy it last year, you bought it years ago. And how do you accelerate that money? How do you accelerate that money? Now, I'm a super nerd, right? And so um, I don't know if you want me to do this, but have you ever played with a compound interest calculator?
I want you to do that. I've played with it in the past, nothing recently, but I'm on board to whatever
Okay.
you will.
Do I have permission to share a screen
Yeah.
real quick? All
Hey,
right, sweet. You might have to enable me to do that, Mr.
what am I
Host,
doing
but
already?
then I can do it.
Share screen? No, that's my sharing screen.
It's under permissions, but um, here's the deal. Here's what I want people to know. If we sell now and we take advantage of our capital gains, you can accelerate your wealth. Owning real estate is one of the best ways to accelerate wealth in this country. Okay. So we can do a separate one on that, just on compound interest of like being a seller and how we can get to that level. But remember, it's $250,000 per person, tax free. Tax free. There ain't much out there tax free right now.
Right.
Capital gains if it's been your primary residence for 2 out of the past 5 years. So if you bought a property 5 years ago and you lived in it for 2 years, but you've been renting it, it's really important that you look at selling if your intent is to liquidate, because that money becomes taxable after you haven't lived there within that time frame. And if you can get that money tax free and start growing it, the market's down overall, right? The S&P 500 is still the most stable investment. Warren Buffett says you can't beat the S&P, right? The average is 7.85% over the past 20 years. 7.8, like it's been crazy in the past 20 years. We've done a lot of different things. I've done a lot of different things, right? Like, but you can actually accelerate and grow that. So let me give you an example. So let's say you were able to net $100,000, and I'm going to do this on investor.gov is where you can find
Okay.
this compound interest calculator, and we'll do another video on it too.
Yeah, I think we
And
have because I couldn't figure
we
out how to share.
we got to do it. It's all things. But if you had $100,000 from your sale and you put in $50 a month, $50 a month, right? I mean, that's just straight up not going to Starbucks a couple
Yeah.
times a
Yeah.
month, right?
Right. Or
And then
lunch one time out.
yeah, or lunch. Whoa, it's getting so expensive. Like dear Arby's, not so much, right? And let's say, we had our our average of the S&P is 7.85%, and we compound interest monthly, which is how that works. Like it builds, it builds, it builds. So we
Okay.
started with 100 grand.
100 grand.
We put in $50 a month.
Okay.
We did the average of the S&P, 7.85%. Mind you, the S&P is like 20 something percent in the past couple of years, but we took that average, that 20-year average. And in 10 years, we're going to have $227,752.08. Don't forget the 8 cents. So we more than doubled our money with $50 a month. Bananas.
Mind blowing. I mean,
Right?
you hit the nail right on the head when he said in this country, real estate is truly one way to grow your wealth. I was listening to a
Yes.
speaker. He started investing in real estate with $100,000 at the age of 37. Okay. He did
Yep.
it for 15 years. He showed us his wealth. It's like 7,600,000 and some odd $1,000, right? And then he says,
Wow.
let me take this one step further. If I would have started when I was 26, that number would have been an $8 billion compound interest in the whole 9 yards. And I was like, wow. I mean, he owns 8,000 units, started from a single door and worked his way up from finances, pulling cash out, selling tax free and then exchanges and whatnot. But I mean, $7 million is a lot of money, if you ask me. I don't know.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. And like just being able to move it forward, move it forward, move it forward, right? So that example I gave where you bought that house 5 years ago, you lived in it for 2 years. You have to do 2 years. They don't have to be consecutive. So you could live it, rent it, live it, whatever the case may
Right.
be. Right. And let's say we got 100 grand. You could roll in another 5%. You don't have to be a first time home buyer to do 5% down. We do 5% down in the new house and we take the rest in and invest it. We maybe buy another investment property. We maybe just put it in the market, right? Things are going to keep growing every single direction. It's like planting a bunch of seeds at once.
Yeah. And if you can, I mean, as far as investment goes right now, my take on it is if the numbers pencils and you're cash flowing, buy it, right? Because how much is the interest rate on investment off the top of your head? Any idea?
They're in the high sevens, frankly, right now, right? But A, you're going to have a refinance, and two, depreciation. Now
Yeah.
that's a totally separate video talking about
Right.
depreciation
Yeah.
investments, right? Because you mentioned cash flow. We got to remember those tax benefits is what our true cash flow is, right?
Right.
It's our true cash flow is based on the tax benefits as well. And depreciation is like legit.
Depreciation, and we're not even talking about appreciation on that
Oh
property.
yeah.
That's another video, right? On top of
Yeah.
depreciation. So what he was saying was, hey, you buy something with at 7% interest rate or high sevens, and you're cash flowing. Next year, you refi that property with a lower interest rate. You're going to cash flow even more, and now you're grandfathered in for that price and not paying a higher market price anymore. So it's like a no brainer not to make that investment purchase right now, as long as the numbers make sense and it's sensible.
True
So,
story.
yeah. Hey, look, what do you think is the interest rate were like down to 1%, 2%?
That's not healthy and should never happen. And please don't ever think about that again, people. That's like just doing just massive amounts of crack cocaine as an economy. It's just not okay. It's
Yeah.
no end then.
Great. No, great analogy. I personally think they put this economy on steroids and they just like shot a little
For
bit
too
more.
long. Way
And
too long.
yeah,
Way too long.
so we're gonna feel it. But my thing is, what do you think a fair mortgage interest rate is, right?
To me,
Because
four and a
I've
half to 6%.
4.5 to 6%. Because
Yep.
I mean, I've heard my parent, oh, we were paying 16%, or some of my older clients are like, dude, we paid 20%, and I'm like, Jesus, right? So where do you draw that line?
Yeah, I mean, I think 4.5 to 6% is really manageable from a standard basis, but you need inflation not to be as drastic to be able to sustain that, right? You need if you can't sustain that if everything else in your life is raising up, right? So you need inflation to be at the normal, what, 1 or 2% or 3% a year, right? That's normal growth. And then that 4.5 to 6% is totally sustainable from a mortgage perspective.
And that's what the rates were, right? Pre-pandemic, for
Totally.
right?
Totally.
Okay. Yeah. I keep on thinking that I'm like, those were the rates. I don't know why people are not accepting these numbers, right? Because I guess we got spoiled.
We
So
get used to it. You know, as humans, it's we get into something and then it's like, oh, you move my cheese, right? Oh no, that this is too expensive. You know, like I was doing data on it, and I'm like, look, a 2% interest rate increase on $100,000 is only a couple grand a year. And is a couple grand manageable? Yes. But that's your tax deduction, right? It's not, we're not talking about your insurance, which is not tax deductible. We're not talking about your gas, which is not tax deductible. We're talking about the thing that increased in price gives you a larger tax benefit as well, right? So there's got to be some offsets. We got to curb in that math and emotion. We got to curb in the emotion side of it for sure.
I think you're right. Definitely curbing the emotions and do what's right for you and the family, right?
Totally.
And if it makes sense, then why not? So, you have multiple loan products. What are your top? I was gonna say one, but I think that won't be fair to you. So, what are your top two, not three, but two loan products favorite?
Favorite, I love me some VA loans. I just
Why?
think,
Why?
well, not only are they aggressive in qualifying, they qualify differently. They qualify on residual income, how much money is left over. And I think that's a different conversation when we look at somebody's budget than a front cap, right? We got to look at, well, what's left over and can that support your family, right? Because that's really the intent of the debt to income ratio. But looking at what's left over from a numerical standpoint, I think makes most sense. I love that it helps people build wealth and equity day one and allows them to keep investing in the market.
Yeah.
And I also love that it's going to be able to be used over and over again. That's a huge, huge misconception. You can use a VA loan more than once. It is reinstated when you're paid off. So you could buy that 100% financing, gain that equity in a couple years, refinance to a conventional loan, and then you can use your VA over again if you need to move to a different property or a different area. Absolutely huge, Alex. Seriously. I like
I
a
don't think
lot
a
of,
lot of people know that they can get into a
really?
VA loan and refi it into conventional and get another. Yeah, I
Right?
I guarantee you, I don't think a lot of people know that.
You're not stuck, right?
Yeah.
You're not stuck. And that's a hard time that I have with a lot of VA big lenders.
Yeah.
Just have people that sit in, blocks and don't think the way that we do. Don't look at, well, what's your best benefit? What's the way to move forward so that you have freedom, financial freedom in the future, right? It's absolutely huge.
Yeah. So VA, and what's the second one?
I love VA. I love FHA loans. I love how flexible they are. Did you know that on a FHA loan, somebody can gift you money for your down payment and not be related to you? They can be one of your big best friends. Because I mean, I'm telling you, I love a lot of my family, and then there's a lot of part of my family that I'm just like, dude, where'd y'all come from, right? And so,
Yeah.
but you've got that sister from another mister, or the brother from another mother, right? Like they are your best friend, they are your ride or die. They're
Yes.
just not blood related. Why can't they help you too? And FHA loans allow you to do that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So okay, that goes a long way because I mean, yeah, I think I'm just gonna stay out of the whole family can of worms. But yeah, that's right. You have a friend that he can count on. You can put a deal together. Why not? So
Right?
hey, I don't know if you know this, but I am a big fan of investing. Right? Hey, if you can buy real estate, rent it out, house hacking, the whole nine yards. I mean, I'm a raving fan of that. What is your personal thoughts on that? On rentals, investing in real estate, and why should one do it if they?
Again, it's one of the best ways to build wealth,
Yeah.
right? God is not making enough more earth. We're not, right? We're not really building more land, right? It's just what are the resources we have,
Yeah.
right? So I think investing in real estate long term, some of the ways that allows you that if you bought an investment property and you'd be able to pour it forward to another one without tax consequences, pouring into what's called a DST, where it's not another property, it's an account that develops and can generate income for you over time. It allows you to really solidify, but I'll tell you, the main reason I believe in buying real estate, period, end of story, is investing in your future for the stability, right?
Not agree more.
You, what if you get kicked out of your house, right? Like, there's so many programs that are going to help people stay in their houses if they have a hard time. That ain't going to happen with rent. They're just going to be like, oh, peace out. Thanks for the check. Got to go. Bye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
like hiding from the landlord, hiding from that's not cool, man. So I think that building that stability long term for families is huge. Getting the tax benefits, it's absolutely amazing. And
Massive.
just building able to build forward and pour back into your community.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Every single one of those, I am absolutely on board with you. Right. It's just so important. Right. And like you said, it's the greatest way to build wealth. There's
True
really,
story.
I don't see no other options. So, but so, you've been lending since you're 18,
Yep.
or been in the field. So that's quite some time. Now, if you were to give one advice to somebody that's getting started, and if there was something that you would change about the industry, what would that be?
So I have two pieces of advice. One, ask more questions. Ask more questions.
Clients or people in the business?
Anybody,
Okay.
anybody and everyone, ask more questions. I think we need to do this as humans, frankly, right?
I actually struggle with that, asking questions.
Well, be interested, not interesting, right? Like you
Okay.
find out more, you ask more questions. Like it takes five whys to get to a reason.
Right.
Everybody has a different experience, right? Like I learn so much from you every single time that we talk, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yes.
just so much out that you can learn and there's never going to be the ability to understand everything. So why not keep exploring? So that'd be my number one. Number two is be yourself, only bolder. So when I first was in lending, I was like, oh, I've got to wear a suit and I've got to like just wear all black. And like, if you can't tell, I like color. Like, this is me. I'm loud. I'm nerdy. I am what I am. And
Yeah,
like, if I'm not being true to myself, how am I going to be true to you in service? Right?
I agree. Yeah.
That's absolutely it. What was the other question though? Because one was what was the advice? The second one was
What would you change about the industry?
professionalism.
Mm,
That's why you and I get along so. I was like, look, you can be real, you can be you. I said y'all, I say bananas, right? But
right.
this is a professional transaction. You
Oh,
need your word is your bond. You need to make sure that you've got the ability that when you say yes, you have every resources to back it up. I'm not saying Peak Bill can't work part-time. I'm not saying that you shouldn't just start and be an apprentice. What I'm saying is this is people's lives. This is
huge.
not a transaction. This is your life. And it is our freaking honor and our actual duty, fiduciary, and just morally and ethically to always put that client first. And I saw so many people not do that. Like, make an offer, no contingencies. Like, how has that worked for both of your clients? Let everyone do their due diligence and ask the question. Let's come to the table as respectful human beings and not just like, I'm going to sell things, right? Like, that doesn't help anybody.
I
Pretty
think
passionate about that.
I'm just gonna piggyback on that, and I think communication is a big one, right? If you can communicate with all parties in the transaction, including your clients, goes a long way. So that's my idea.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think we're running out of time here,
Yep.
so
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you. Thank
so
you.
much once again, Austin. We'll do like two more videos on depreciation, appreciation, and actually one more on compounding interest.
Compound interest. I think we need to do one about sellers that,
Mhm.
why should you sell right now? Because we've talked about investing, we've talked about opening doors, but
Yeah.
that guy that has the 8,000 doors, he didn't hold every single one. He used
No.
one to parlay into the next, right? So let's do that. I'd love it. I'm very grateful. If anyone needs to get a hold of me, I'm Austin at austinlamson.com. Austin Lamson, I've got a YouTube channel and my phone number is 805-869-71. I'm just so honored, my friend. Cheers.
Austin, thank you so much. I appreciate it.